Frankie PR. Say hi.
So you obviously practice what you preach.
What are you waiting for? Get the second puppy. Hi, Stevie. Okay. Stevie doesn't like to be left out either. I mean, I think it's always easy to look back after events go down and say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. But you don't know that prior to the races going down. So I think I can sit here and say I'm happy with how we prepped for both Unbound and Western States. I think it was a night and day difference to how I went into both in 2023. And so there were definitely some major improvements, and that showed in the results and just how the races each went. But then now that they've happened, there are certainly quite a few things I would say I would have changed, done differently, or worked more on in my preparation. But I wouldn't have known that prior to them happening. So I am happy with what we did leading into June. And have taken the lessons from how those races went this year to consider for future preparation for these events or even others coming up. We are here in Patagonia, Arizona to switch it up and enjoy coming down here again, camping, enjoy the beautiful weather, get to spend some time at the lake, post-run. Kick the legs out. So today's plan is to run for at least 5 hours, but somewhere in the 5 to 6 hour range. So just slowly building up. I've been hitting 4 hours consistently twice a week right now. Earlier this week I hit almost 4.5. So just building my endurance and volume smartly, steadily progressing each week. So up to about 5 to 6. We are 7 weeks out from Western States now. So this is really the key time to load the miles these next 4 weeks. So aiming for about 5 hours on the legs today. Yeah, I definitely sat down I have training logs from the last 15 years. And I use those. I love to just write. I love pen to paper versus something on my phone or computer. So I do like to look at the bigger picture, and I usually every season target my big goals and work backwards from them. So I think in terms of the training plan or idea for these two races this season, it was working backwards from each of them and saying, okay, at this point, I want to be here. So at 4 weeks out from Western States, the 4, 5, 6 weeks out, those would be the biggest training weeks, the highest mileage, really loading up there before bringing down the overall volume a bit. Same on the Unbound side, the training, okay, I need big days 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks out. Those are the biggest weeks, the key weeks, and again, just working backwards from there. So I plot in those kind of blocks and then the specific sessions within each of them. And I think I'm happy with how that kind of overall bigger picture planning went. I think I did kind of hit those building block goals en route to the big race goals. But as always, with every training cycle, every race, you learn so much. And so looking back now, and this is what I do every season, every race, okay, what would I have done differently? I targeted certain big days out running or big days out riding. If I had done a bit more, would that have been better? Did I do too much? Was I a little bit tired? Or could I have worked in kind of higher intensity or speed focus versus, okay, I need to run for 6 hours? Would I have been better off running for only 4, but working in more tempo work? So those are the things that I sit down post and analyze, okay, would I change this here for next year?
What do we got going today?
Today is day 2 in a row of a long run. So trying to stack back-to-back longer runs to simulate the pounding on the legs, long days out. Just try to get more and more used to that. So I'll do another 4 hours or so today. Today, the plan is to head for, it's actually a road, not trails, but a road that's much more runnable. So yesterday I worked a lot on the technical side of things, just up and down over rocky technical terrain. And then today is more running because Western States has a lot of sections that are runnable. So I think you still need to keep that kind of run fitness. And so yeah, runnable road. I'm going to do some mountain backs because the start of this road is straight uphill for about 3 or 4 miles. Again, it's super hot here in Tucson right now, so in order to be able to stay on my liquids and fueling, I'm going to do 2 out and backs back to the car so I can refill bottles, but I'll go about 7.5 miles out, which the way out it's going to take a little bit longer than an hour. Probably hour 15-ish or so, and then flip back. It'll be a lot of downhill back, so a little bit faster back, but out 7.5, back 7.5, and then I'll repeat that. So hoping to do about 30 miles or so today. I got a little bit less in yesterday on the technical stuff, so I think that'll be a good kind of 2 days in a row chunk of good run mileage as we build into the next 9 weeks. I mean, Unbound's a 200-mile gravel race, and Western States is a 100-mile running race. So they're long days and long hours on the feet or on the bike, and thus preparation requires long days, long training, getting ready for those. And so to balance the two is obviously kind of a tricky equation. And I think, my lead in the first half of 2024 was a constant kind of evaluation and check in with myself on a day-to-day basis of how do you feel? How is this work? How is this going? Are you feeling like you're getting more and more prepared for each of these simultaneously? I think the biggest thing was just where to fit in the long rides and long runs together and how those balanced. And I definitely went through phases of trying different things, meaning backing up long rides. So doing a long ride one day, getting up and doing another long ride the next day to simulate those 10, 11, 12 hours that Unbound was going to be. And I did the same with the running side, kind of backing up 2 long runs or even 3 days in a row, again, to simulate those, 15, 16, 17, 18 plus hours of running that I knew was ahead. So really just working to figure out how to best train the body to ride on tired legs, ride hours 8, 9, 10, 11, or running, again, hours 12, 13, 14 by doing that back-to-back days of long stuff. But then also evaluating, okay, those long days and backing them up after each other is wearing. It's tiring. And maybe it does sacrifice some of that quality work. So I didn't necessarily do that every week. It was kind of balancing the two. Okay, now I'll do a long bike ride and then follow that the next day with a long run. And just playing with that a little bit in the months of prep, March, April, May, leading into the month of June when the races were.
How's the body? How's the mind? You've had a big week so far. And what do you got coming up over the weekend?
Yeah, so I just did 3 pretty solid days in a row, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And feeling pretty tired after the back-to-back long runs, Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday today is meant to be easy, recovery, move the body, break a sweat, but ultimately get ready for the weekend ahead because I've got another 2 big days ahead of me as well. So yeah, gotta try to recover today. It's the goal. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm also in a very unique position because I'm coming from years of triathlon. So I'm used to biking and running. And now I've just taken the swim out, which is amazing for me. But I think I kept my weeks and how I laid them out similar to how I used to train with triathlon. And more specifically, I guess, that meant training in Tucson, which is where I prepped for both of these events. There were kind of 2 key rides in the week. There's a Tuesday group ride and a Saturday long group ride. And those were kind of the cornerstones of my weeks, basically, because those were key workouts for me to hit on the bike. It's group riding, it's responding to attacks, it's getting that high quality VO2 work in. And so I knew those were part of every training week, having those key rides. Tuesdays would be 3 to 4 hours, and Saturdays would be 5, 6, even 7 hours. So one of my really long days. So plotting those in each week, I would work around those 2 to plot in other training sessions. And that's where I would play with doing, for instance, the long Saturday group ride in Tucson, which is called the Shootout, and then getting up Sunday and doing another long ride, 5 or 6 hours, but on my gravel bike, to be more specific to the Unbound race. The rest of the week, I would then plot in my running workouts, knowing I had those 2 key bike workouts covered on Tuesday, Saturday. I would then run usually Wednesdays, Thursdays, and do that back-to-back long run days on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And that meant Mondays and Fridays would be easy. Recovery, just light sessions to get ready for those kind of mini blocks, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then the Saturday, Sunday weekends. So yeah, typical kind of, I think, triathlon training plan. You got an easy day, shake the legs out, get ready for the week ahead. Hard Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday recovery day, hard weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Is the infamous Shootout, the group ride here in Tucson. So I got to roll here at 5:30 to be at the start, the 6 a.m. start. So long, hard day in the saddle coming up. The Shootout is more about like hard, high intensity VO2 for me. I mean, I'm chasing some of the best guys out there, so I basically just get my ass kicked every Saturday. The first hour of this ride is like peak power every single week for me until I get dropped. Then I do a tempo effort back on, then I do a tempo up a climb. Total volume of the ride will be probably 6-ish hours today. But the point of the ride is the high intensity work. Not much climbing in this ride. One climb up Madera Canyon, which is a climb down in South Tucson before we wind our way back towards Tucson. So kind of rolling fast, high intensity. Usually I get in about, 130 miles in the 5 to 6 hours on this one. But again, it's fast. Road bikes, race, it's like a race, basically. A typical week during this kind of lead-in for these two big events was an easy Monday, maybe an easy spin, hour, easy jog, 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe some yoga even, just get the body ready for the week ahead. Tuesday, I would head for the Tuesday group ride in Tucson. It was an early morning rollout, 6 a.m., ride for 3 to 4 hours with some really hard VO2 efforts, responding to attacks in the peloton, kind of that group work that I don't have the most experience in coming from triathlon. I would sometimes do a run right off of that ride, just quick 30 minutes. If I didn't do that, I would recover from the ride in the morning, usually take a nap, and maybe do a jog before dinner, 30 minutes to an hour. I would get up Wednesday and do a long run. And the first long run of that 2-day block, I would head to Sabino Canyon in Tucson and do a technical long run. So working on my footwork over rocky terrain. And I would climb and descend and really just work on the technical skills that, again, I don't have the most experience in. I would try to climb as much as I could. I would try to pick up my technical running speed, I guess, session after session. But the focus was that technical work. That afternoon, I would maybe go for an easy spin to spin the legs out from the run in the morning. I would get up Thursday and back up that long run with another long run, but a more specific interval workout on more running terrain, because Western States has a good portion of it is actually very runnable. So I would head to a more runnable hill and do maybe, for instance, 2 times 30 minutes uphill, or depending on where we were training in Tucson or even down in Patagonia, Arizona, just hill reps. Again, that strength work, but more runnable. And again, depending on fatigue level, I would do a recovery spin that afternoon after the long run. Friday would be a recovery day. So again, easy spin, easy jog. The recovery days are totally dependent on how fatigued you are. If you just need a full day off, then I would take that. Or just one of the two activities, just to move the legs, flush everything out. Saturday morning was the long Tucson group ride, the shootout. And yeah, those were my longest, hardest days on the bike. 6 to 7 hours, very hard intervals, group riding. Saturdays, I would maybe do a runoff here and there. If not, I would be in bed for a long nap Saturdays and maybe do a shakeout jog before dinner. And then Sunday, I would get up and do another long ride, more aerobic based, on my gravel bike, on the bike setup that I would use for Unbound, and just log another 5 to 6 hour day aerobic riding. Just again, to ride on tired legs after the shootout and hit that kind of 10, 11, 12 hour mark that I knew Unbound would be for riding time. Final day of the week.
What do we got going
Go
on?
long ride. Clearly the brain is not moving the quickest this morning. Long day on tap, riding from here in Tucson down to Lake Patagonia. I'm guessing it's gonna be probably 7-ish hours. I'm riding my gravel bike with gravel tires on the road for a good portion of it, but also a good portion gravel. So it's kind of a mixture. But I think it'll take about 2 hours down to the Box Canyon climb, have to climb Box Canyon. That'll put me on the highway that heads south towards Sonoyta, and then another 2 to 3 hours through Sonoyta, up the Canelo Hills, and then come into Patagonia on Harshaw Road. So I think that's about 6 hours, and then depending on how the day's going, if I then ride out to the lake, that'll be another 45 minutes to an hour. It's kind of what I think it is the route, but long day. It's gonna be hot again, so yeah. Unbound prep. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say since I've left triathlon, the training stats have definitely shifted. I don't really pay as much attention to total numbers of things because they're so variant. I mean, if I go for a 6 or 7 hour ride on my road bike, I'm covering 130 miles. If I go for a 6 or 7 hour ride on my gravel bike, I might be covering 80 miles. So the mileage week to week is not, to me personally, it became irrelevant because one week I might only ride gravel bike and I'm covering 200 miles in the week. Or if I'm on my road bike and gravel bike, I'm covering 400 miles. So it's the weekly stats week to week changed. I would say training hours were right around that 25 hours a week mark, sometimes up to 30 in the big weeks, which is comparable to when I used to prep for Kona. I would be in that range for about 4 weeks, that 26 to 28 hours of training a week. The same went for trail running. Obviously in triathlon, it used to be very easy to track mileage. You're running on pretty flat roads or paths, and I would be very consistent week after week with running mileage. Now I could go for a run in the mountains for 3 or 4 hours and maybe only cover 10 miles. So I kind of stopped tracking specifics in comparing week to week that I needed to be at a certain spot. It was more hourly training and covering a lot of the same trails or things primarily with the running week after week. So I would get an idea of, okay, it just took me 50 minutes to get to the top of the Phone Line Trail. And I kind of had that estimation in my mind. And then I would do the same exact trail a couple days later. Okay, did I get up any quicker? And I was doing the same with the downhills. Actually, probably more so with the downs because my downhill descending and technical work is not the strongest. So I would constantly be trying to see if I could get down a trail more smoothly or quicker than the week before. So it just became more of a comparison week to week for myself on specific areas and seeing, okay, I do feel like I'm improving. I feel like I'm feeling a little bit like more flowy on this technical stuff versus saying, okay, I just ran it at 7-minute pace. Now I'm going to try it for 650s. It was a lot more by feel and just, being within myself and how I felt as the training block progressed. A lot slower go than planned. It has literally been like a 30-mile headwind the whole day. So it's been, half the speed I was anticipating. I mean, I've got my chunky gravel tires on. I still usually roll like 16, 17 miles per hour, and the first 40 miles I was going like 7 or 8 into a headwind. So it took a while. I mean, I'm at 4:15, only 61 miles in. The Box Canyon, that was super cool. I'd never climbed up that before, the whole thing. Pretty loose, chunky though, so also slow go. And I'm just feeling pretty tired from the entire week. So it's one of those things. This is what you come up against in these endurance events. I think there are times where you need to push through and just know this is what you face in races. So you feel like shit, you're tired, but Yeah, not gonna just call it because of that. I think there is a point too, though, where you have to know yourself as an athlete and know if you're just digging a hole or is it a workout you're putting in and then you can have a recovery day the next day and then be ready to hit another hard workout the day after that. So it's that balance of digging, finding your limits, but then being able to be consistent over a bigger block, like a 4-week block that I have. So I think I'm going to push on a little bit more. I don't think I need to be out here today for 7 or 8 hours, which is what, if I did the full loop, would take me. So I'm going to get to Sonoyta now. 11 miles should take me, I don't know, with this headwind, an hour, 45 to an hour. I have 2 bottles left, so it's perfect. I'll get to Sonoyta, and there's a great gas station there with everything you need. Some fun snacks too. It's like a local homemade area, and then decide from there if I'll be around 5 hours there. Either call it, or I could head straight to Patagonia from there. Is what I'm thinking currently. If you ask me right now, I would probably say that Unbound and Western States would be the 2 first things on my 2025 calendar. That being said, there are so many other super cool events or things out there that intrigue me, that can be so tough plotting out a calendar of which ones I want on there. But coming off of this June in those 2 races, they both left me like, oh man, I could have done this better. And that's what's so addicting about sport, right? It's, you want to improve or do better, or you do it and you're like, if I had done this a little bit different. So as of right now, they both are super motivating to me and events I want to be back at. That being said as well, I mean, the Unbound XL looks super cool to me. Some of these longer bike events. And then, I mean, on the trail running side, there's so many out there. It's hard to even, pick. You can't do many each year, obviously. So to be very selective of, okay, I can do maybe this 1 or 2 each year. I'm gonna have to sit down and see what really ignites the fire to go after. But as of right now, I would say yes, I'll be back to both.